Perfect. My name is Greg Sperling. I'm one of the members of the Stratford's Veterans Museum and on the staff here. Today is October 29th, right? October 29th. Okay, and I'm here today with William Dwyer Jr., former Corporal, United States Army, and we're here to kind of interview him and talk about his military experience and life afterwards. Bill, can you give me, what's your date of birth?
October 18th, 1932.
And where were you born?
Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Bridgeport, Connecticut. Okay, and where did you live growing up?
South end of Bridgeport. It was Sacred Heart School, up on Railroad Avenue.
Okay, and how about high school?
Fairfield Prep.
Fairfield Prep. What year did you graduate?
51.
Okay, were you involved in any school activities, sports,
No,
nothing like that?
No?
Okay,
No.
Good. What branch of service? U.S. Army?
Corporal, Army Corporal.
Army Corporal, okay. And what years did you serve?
I went in 53, come out 55.
Okay, great. And what prompted you to join the military?
Uncle Sam.
You were
He gave me a letter.
You were drafted, okay. How did you feel when you got that draft notice?
Well, I figured everybody else was going, I would go. In the meantime, my oldest brother's already in.
Okay.
And my one underneath me was in the Army Reserves. So we had two in already. And then I went in and I went to Indiantown Gap in Pennsylvania. From there I went to Fort Myers in Arlington. Then I got over to the 3rd Infantry Regiment, which is the oldest regiment in the service. And the 3rd Infantry Regiment, which is basically hand-picked. When we finished basic from Indiantown Gap, they sent me to Fort Myers. Fort Myers is the 3rd Infantry Regiment. Now to say the 3rd Infantry Regiment is definitely hand-picked. From the 3rd on down, it's hand-picked. Everything is hand-picked. So when that happened, we got Indiantown Gap, we got sent down to Fort Myers. Fort Myers, you rotate, you think you're still in basic, but it's completely different service you're doing. And the 3rd Regiment is actually a ceremonial regiment. And some of the guys were upset because they didn't like the chicken shit bullshit. They didn't like that. So for 2 weeks they inspect you, and you're being actually waited out. And I lasted. Some of the questions they asked some of the fellas, and they asked me the same question. He said he was good, and they don't want good people because they're gonna retrain you what they want. And my answer was room for improvement. So I stayed, and the other guy disappeared.
Okay. How did you get selected to go to the 3rd Infantry?
They selected me.
They selected you out of basic training?
Out of basic training, we went down there. It was 2 weeks of retraining, and it was the first week was shining shoes and line up and everything else, and the second week was manual arms, and so they were still weeding people out, and that's what came to be one of the group.
And how did you feel about getting selected for that?
I didn't know much about it till I got there, and they started telling you all about the history of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, which is the oldest regiment in the service. And when I got to realize, geez, how the hell did I get picked to this? And I was just one of the group that they liked, I guess. So, and one of the questions I got today, haircut yesterday, was how often you get haircuts, And the poor fellows that had dark complexion and everything else, if you didn't shave twice a day, you're out.
Right. And then, so what was your duties once you got selected?
Okay, once I got selected, I was put onto the firing party and the burial details. That was my job basically for say 20 months I was there. I was part of the burial detail for all the funerals. The firing detail. So we were off onto a distance. You could hear us, but you can't see us firing. And we fired a 21 gun salute. The thing was that we trained for that because you only want to hear one shot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Only one shot. And you train that outside in a parking lot, and after you train with the corporal, sergeant, and they try to keep the same 7 guys together, because once the command is given, you know what his routine's going to be, and you don't anticipate pre-firing.
Right. Okay. And how many, on an estimate, how many funerals a week were you guys doing back then?
We leave the barracks basically at 8:30 for the funerals, usually about 9 o'clock. We have funerals until 11:30. Then we're back at 1 o'clock for more funerals. We'll do about maybe 5 or 6 a day.
And at that point, was it, older gentlemen that were passing away, or were these people that were in combat that were passing away?
A little bit of both. A little
Okay.
bit of combat, a little older gentleman's retired, and
Right.
we did a burial, and I think it was a general. It had his estate. So we went to his, and they buried him. We did the fire in there, and the casket, undertakers, everything was there. They fed us in the garage, and then we stood on a bus, standing up, all the way there, so our uniforms won't get wrinkled.
Oh wow! What was your most memorable experience when you were in the honor guard for those 20 months?
Well, most of the spirit, because I buried a lot of General Wainwright, Vandenberg, buried. The other fellows, I don't remember the name, but those are tough names. I remember General Wainwright.
Yep.
But the others, I just buried them,
Mm-hmm.
because like we were like where the trees were where we fired our weapons, and the pallbearers who had to walk quite a ways at time, and they even though the cemetery was a little rocky, they would trip and fall. And one of the getting away. Some of the pallbearers would ask for it to get relieved because they couldn't stand the stress of the burial. You're doing 4 or 5 burials.
Yeah.
They had to be
understand
something.
that.
Had to get to you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, what kind of the ceremonial rifles? What kind of rifles were you using?
We was an M1s.
M1s. Okay.
Oh, I had an M1. I also had a Springfield.
Okay.
But I had 2 weapons because we were basically honor guard company, but you're still a squad company ready for combat. Mm-hmm. So you still had to go to rifle range, requalified. And my weapon was the BAR. So I had to qualify the BAR plus the M1. So we had to also keep that BAR in shape, even though we didn't use it at all.
Right.
But the rest was...
Right. How many dress uniforms did you have?
I had the dress blues. You only wore the dress blues at that time. That was earlier. They really weren't in yet. And the dress blues came, I think, in 53 or 54. We wore the khaki uniform, the ODs in winter. But the summer uniform was called a tropical Worcester. It had their own little longer blouse and the tan between the tan and the brown, brown uniform. That was.
And you must have had to get those clean every day. If you're doing, you must have had to get those laundered or cleaned every day if you're doing 4 or 5 funerals a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every day when you came back in, let's be from the firing party, you had to take that and field strip it because you're firing blanks.
A lot of dirt.
And mace the hell out of it. And clean it all up no, that was one rifle I used for the cemetery. The other rifle was in my rack. I used that for parades. That was all polished up and all nice. But
and how many parades or how often would you have to do parades?
oh, we did parades 3 times a week, basically. We did them on a Friday night and a Wednesday. Depends upon, we paraded for the general's wives. That's what they said.
All right.
And that's what it came out to be, basically. But
okay.
But as far as funerals, we leave the barracks at 8:30. The firing party, we go in the parking lot, go through the whole routine, make sure nobody screwed up, and then you go into the bus will tell you what area you're in. So you had the bugler, the burial to figure, and on the bus.
And now, where were your brothers stationed at this time? You were saying that I guess both your brothers were in service.
Yeah, they were. Brother Jack was in. Jimmy was in Korea, and my brother Jack was in Dix.
Okay. Were you able to keep in contact with them while they were in the?
Oh yeah, Jack came to see me a couple of times, but Jimmy didn't see me till after he was finished with his duties.
Okay. Good. And did you have any other collateral duties when you guys? I mean, you were very busy in your ceremonials, but any other type of duties other than parades and ceremonies?
No, they didn't take part in it. We had a softball team going, Barry, but just routine stuff like that, regular stuff.
But no other military duties either.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All righty. What kind of commendations or medals did you receive while you were in the service?
What kind of accommodations?
Accommodations or medals, awards?
No, I never. I should have got the Purple Heart, but I didn't get it. I tell you why.
Tell me what happened.
Basic training. This time we took the saber off the bayonet. Live bayonet practice. And you jab and you jab. The guy jabbed, I turned the wrong way. I went into the bayonet. It hit me here.
Oh, jeez.
9 stitches. Good thing it hit me here.
Yeah.
No Purple Heart.
Probably because it was self-inflicted.
Stupidity, you got.
Oh, that's good. And so your 2 years, your 20 months are over, and why did you decide to get out? It wasn't something that you thought about?
Here's a little story here. Captain Love and myself, he gave me Article 15 for coming in late. I cut grass with scissors, for 2 weeks, for 2 hours a night. My punishment. Company Article 15. Company punishment.
Right.
But we got to be friends later on. He called me to his office. Before that, we did the funeral outside the general's. We didn't get feed coming back. Okay. The mess hall was closed. Nobody told the mess hall. He still got a group of guys still outside. Okay, so one of our fellows said, "We'll sign a petition." Shit, yeah, we'll sign a petition. I'm the first guy to sign it. Okay. Captain Love next morning called me down. "What's this, Bill? What's this all about?" "What happened?" "I'm charged of mutiny." "Mutiny? I never heard of mutiny in the Army." "Yes. First month's my petition charged with mutiny." New to me, so that was the story with him. But later on, getting to know him, and he got to know me more, he says, "I'm putting you in for West Point." "No. I put your name up to the battalion commander. Every officer could send guys up there for West Point." "No," he says, no, you make a good officer." No. "I'm going to send you to officer training school." "No, I don't want it." I liked it, but I didn't want to do it. The Korean War was finishing up, and
yeah,
and I wasn't that type of soldier.
Okay. All right. So, life after you come home, right? Come back to Bridgeport, Stratford. Where'd you come back?
When I came home and went back to Bridgeport, I got married short after I came home, and I became a bricklayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the marriage first. How did you meet your wife?
Oh, I went with her for 5 years.
Okay. So you were in a relationship with her?
Service. Well, she was going to nursing school. She's a graduate of Bridgeport Hospital Nursing School.
Okay.
She became a damn art doctor. She was so smart. She's not that smart she me, but she wasn't that smart now. But she was a good person, a great person. She died 6 weeks after my daughter died.
Oh, gee, I'm sorry. Yeah.
They called it broken heart syndrome.
Absolutely.
Broken heart. That was only 3 years ago. Just 3 years ago.
So you come home. You come back home. You marry your wife shortly after that?
Well, short after that, we went to Bullhaven bricklayer training school. I was the oldest guy there, for God's sakes. Yeah. But I did that for 16 years, laid brick. But I fell. And had 3 discs removed, my back fused together.
Yeah.
So that was
That was tough. That was
a tough job.
Okay.
So I couldn't get a job basically any place. Bad injury and all that stuff. The town of Stratford took me on. The maintenance department turned me down because of back injury.
Mm-hmm.
The Board of Ed took me. If I found a waiver, you know, it didn't mean a damn thing anyway.
Right.
I signed a waiver, and I still was wearing the back brace then. And at that time, that Bunnell, Housatonic College, was used the college at nighttime. So then I did that at midnight, 8:30, and I hated it. Hated it. The two girls were young home, and I couldn't sleep, and all that. And I'd be going to work at 11:30. My wife would be coming home at 11:30. You know, so it's boom, boom, boom. But
And what did you do for the town of Stratford? What was your job title?
pardon?
What job did you actually do?
I became a custodian.
Oh, okay. All right.
At Bunnell.
Gotcha.
But then when flood school opened up, I took the test for flood school, and I cheated, but I knew the fellas that were working at the school, you know, the plumbers, because I worked with them on the field. And they told me all the shifts, you know, shuttles were, and this was, and that were. So a little test came up, I knew where everything was. And I was interviewed and by the board and the town council, it was the Board of Education. And one fellow asked me, you know what he says, custodians take a lot of time off. I said, well, they do. He says, are you guaranteed you're going to work every day? I can't guarantee I'll be alive tomorrow. Oh, I don't mean that. But that's
And how many years did you work for the town?
34.
34. How old were you when you retired?
71.
So you retired at 71. Wow. That's amazing. So you got married. Let's back up a little bit. Where are you living now when you got married?
I live in Stratford, on Kingdon Street, just the same house, just after we first got married. I lived on East Main Street, Bridgeport, right next to the motor vehicle, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to Charles Street in Bridgeport, and then bought a house here in Stratford.
Okay.
And I've been ever since, 60 years or something like that.
And how many children did you have?
I got 3 girls. I have 2 left. One died quite young and died cancer, pancreas cancer.
Oh, that's not. I'm sorry to hear that. And what did they do? What kind of professions were they in?
My daughter here, she's a secretary in the Stratford school system. Okay. And my oldest daughter is she worked in a health system. She worked in, I think a firm that broke out with Milford, a health company that's moved out of here. And now she works for, she volunteers at the Bridgeport Rescue Mission.
Okay. All right. And how about your daughter that passed? What did she do?
What?
Your daughter that passed away? What did she do?
She worked for the company checks magazines ads and
Okay.
up in Shelton area. I can't think of the name of that is.
Now, do you have any of your military buddies that you've kept in contact with a year, or any of them are still around?
No, I know. A couple of them, the fellow down the street from me, I grew up with his brother, the south end of Bridgeport, but he got killed in Korea. And Bobby Carroll, another classmate, the prep, he got killed in Korea. The rest I don't keep track of them too much.
All right.
They all like moved away,
Yeah.
you know.
And after your military time, and did you associate with any VFWs or American Legions or anything like that?
American Legion.
Okay.
I've been there for a lot of years. A lot of years.
And what about, you said you were 90 today.
Yeah, 90 years. Imagine that, going to be 90.
And you're almost retired for 20 years, right? Next year you'll be retired for 20 years.
Yes.
What have you been doing with yourself since then?
Well, before that, before I got vertigo.
Okay.
That's started really last November. I swam every day. I drove to Milford Academy, the old Milford Academy.
Yeah.
The swim pool there. And I swam there every day. I used to leave my house at 20 after 5, in the water at 6 o'clock, and back home at 7. And that was, with the car around, I could do things I wanted to do. But after they took my license away, or I gave them away because I got afraid of driving, the head started to spin on you. And then I thought I parked my car, I thought I put it in park, I put it in reverse, and I walked out of the car, and the car went down the driveway.
That's the time they take your license away. How would you say overall that your military experience affected your life?
I thought, after I was on for a while, the Spirit of Black Rock Fife and Drum Corps started in 80, 86, like that. And I got involved in that. I love marching.
Okay.
I love marching. I didn't play any instrument or anything like that. But I became the drum major that fell up in front.
Right.
And that really involved me in parades. And, you know, we do sometimes 12, 14 parades in the summer. New York State, and went to Richmond, Virginia, went to Gettysburg. We did a lot of...
How many years were you involved in that?
33 years or so. Shift after they started in 86, I went with them, I think it was 89, I went with them, and
Okay.
that was a lot of fun though.
Well, great, yeah, absolutely. Is anything else about your military service, about you, that we haven't talked about that you think is important to talk about?
Well, I guess the only thing I really got involved in, really loved, was the marching in the Fife and Drum Corps. So I joined one in New Haven, Landcraft Fife and Drum Corps. They're over 200 years old. So I was doing 2 different drum corps in the booth. If Black Rock Fife and Drum is ancient music, you know, Landcraft music is ancient and modern, different type of drumming and everything. But I enjoyed both of them because I did a lot of parades in Bridgeport and Landcraft, and I love the march. I'm a ham in the street, you know. You know, I try to feel myself 6 feet taller, you know. You know, make sure the mace is swinging right and stuff like that, you know.
Well, all right, sir, I want to thank you so much. Again, William Dwyer, Jr., Corporal of the United States Army, for telling your story and being part of our museum here. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. You know.